Before we get started, guys, this video is brought to you by our channel sponsor, Fission Energy. They're back for the month of December, guys, and I really appreciate them. A lot of you guys have purchased it. A lot of you guys have really liked it. If you don't know what Fission is, it is an energy drink, very unique. The bottle is actually water. You just fill it up with water. The actual energy drink that you get is this little capsule, and then you're able to adjust the flavor with the dial. You can make it very strong. You can make it very little at all. You can put just no energy drink, just make it water, essentially a water bottle. But big thanks to Fission for coming on as a channel sponsor for another month. If you haven't checked this out, a lot of you already have, but if you haven't checked this out, guys, any F1 fans that are clicking on this video that don't really know who I am, if you guys have not checked this out, please click the link in the description below. Use code RealRabbin-10. If you just click in the link in the description, it'll be automatically applied, so you don't gotta worry about that. But check it out. It is such a good drink. And it is really good. It's definitely changed my daily routine. I have it every morning. So 6 different flavors. All of them are very good because, again, you can adjust the taste. You can adjust the flavor based on how strong you want it for every single flavor. So massive thank you to Fission, and thank you to them for joining along for another month. Now let's get into the video. Alright, guys, we're talking about F1 today because, oh my lord, yesterday was crazy. Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, the first time at the Jeddah circuit, and I think we all knew it would be a little bit crazy because of the street circuit closed. Anyone that goes off track, safety car would probably come out. But wow, it was the closest thing I've seen to NASCAR before, which is just like the controversy and the drama and the shenanigans, kind of. I see a lot of it in NASCAR all the time, so it was very interesting to see that happen in F1 now. But this really is shaping up to be the greatest title fight I've seen. So it's I was not alive for Senna and Prost, or Schumacher and Hill. I wasn't there for that kind of stuff, but this is incredible. The last title fight that we had that was anything close to this was Rosberg and Hamilton. But I think we all kind of knew that, even though Rosberg was at the top of his game at that point, I think Lewis was still the better driver, and the shenanigans of the Mercedes drivers and the fact that it was one team, the teammates, and just the hatred that they had for each other, that was a great rivalry, and it came down to the final race in Abu Dhabi. But I'm pretty sure that race also had, I'm not sure if it was the double points year. I don't remember if the Rosberg-Hamilton one was the double points year. I think it was. And then they got rid of the double points because it just felt too much of a gimmick. NASCAR, take notes. But Verstappen versus Hamilton this year has been absolutely insane. When you think about, back in Bahrain when they were going one-on-one for that race win, and Verstappen extended track limits and had to give the place back to Hamilton, and Hamilton won that race. You think about earlier in the season, all the battles that they had. Red Bull being very dominant early in the season too, with Verstappen winning a lot of races, building up a points lead. And then it kind of all shifted around Silverstone, where Silverstone, Verstappen, and Hamilton collided for pretty much the first time. That incident was Hamilton's fault, but he got away with it, and Verstappen ended up with a DNF, and Hamilton ended up with a win. So that was a 25-point swing there. And then you head into Hungary, where Bottas took out both Red Bulls. Hamilton ends up finishing second in that race, and Verstappen ends up, again, gaining pretty much no points. He gained a few points there, but again, another massive swing there. That's when the championship really turned into a real championship fight. So in reality, when you look at Verstappen's stats, he could break the record for most podiums in a season if he just gets the podium at the final race at Abu Dhabi, which is pretty likely. But in reality, Verstappen should be running away with this. Hamilton should not be close. So credit to Lewis Hamilton, because he had to win out the final 4 races. He had to go from Brazil, win that. He had to win Qatar. He had to win Abu Dhabi, or Saudi Arabia, and then win at Abu Dhabi. He's not done that yet. That's 6 days away. So guys, if you're not a big F1 fan, because if you don't know, my channel is based around NASCAR. If you're not a big F1 fan, seriously, you gotta watch this weekend. Both drivers are tied at 369.5 points, and so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in this final race. Let's talk about what happened at Jeddah, because there are so many different talking points. I can't show any video because Formula 1 is very picky about that, so maybe I could show pictures, but that's really all I could show. There's a lot of controversy, so let's talk about controversy number 1, which is the red flag. So this is a rule that I think seriously needs to be looked at, because it just doesn't really make sense that you're allowed to do it. So the red flag is essentially you're able to change tires. That's the rule, and it doesn't. The problem is that, Mercedes based the strategy off of the red flag not coming out, and the red flag came out and Red Bull benefited. It's not that, Mercedes got robbed there or anything. It wasn't just Mercedes and Red Bull. Everyone throughout the field. There was people that benefited from it, like Esteban Ocon. There are people that, had trouble because of it, like Sergio Perez. And then Perez gets put in the back, and, he ends up with Charles Leclerc as well, and they end up wrecking back there. So this rule, it just for the benefit, I think, fairness in terms of like motorsport battles and just strategy, I don't think you should be allowed to change tires. This is a very rare situation where it really, when you're in this heated of a championship fight and everything matters, every point, every position, it becomes very everything becomes like under a microscope, which is why I think if you look on social media, why everyone in the F1 world has been going absolutely crazy, and it's very toxic as well, it's just the intensity. Everything's very intense amongst fan bases, amongst drivers, amongst teams. These two teams do not like each other. These two drivers don't hate it. It's not like Rosberg and Hamilton. There's respect there. It's just the intensity of the championship fight. They're not going to be talking to each other. They're not going to be shaking hands. None of that's going to be happening right now until the checkered flag waves at Abu Dhabi, where I then expect respect will be shown. But yeah, it's just very, very intense. But I think F1 and the FIA might want to look at that rule, because it doesn't seem fair that you're basing your strategy off of a safety car, and then 4 laps or 3 laps later a red flag comes out, and you can't be basing strategy off of, well, if a red flag comes out, then we can change tires. That's not okay. Then we head to the restart, where Hamilton gets an incredible restart. Verstappen dives it on the outside, and well, this was the first incident of Verstappen had to then give the places back after Perez got wrecked in the back, and then another safety car with Mazepin and Russell. And this is going to be a more a broader picture, I think, about the racing standards that have been set this season from the FIA. And I think the FIA are responsible for this. It's not Max Verstappen. It's not Lewis Hamilton. It's not really, the drivers, any of them. It's the standards that are being held by the FIA and the stewards. Now, the stewards change almost every race, but the FIA need to be a little bit more clear in terms of what is allowed. Because let's just say this first incident. Verstappen dives it around the outside. Technically, it's Lewis Hamilton's corner. But this idea of being allowed to, essentially when it's your corner, being allowed to shove the other driver off the track doesn't sit well with me. Because essentially what happens is, if you look at the pictures, Hamilton is not giving Verstappen any room. Yes, it's Hamilton's corner. We understand that. But this precedent that's been set of, well, if it's your corner, you can just shove the other driver straight off the track. You can go straight to the white line, and the only way Verstappen doesn't damage his car is if he goes to the other side of the curb and he then cuts the corner. Now, why that is then a penalty on Verstappen doesn't truly make sense to me. In my opinion, what should be happening is Hamilton should be giving a car width space to Verstappen on the outside. If he is not side by side along with you, which, as you can see by this picture, Verstappen is essentially side by side. Yes, he broke later. Yes, he was behind at the braking point, but you could just tell Hamilton drive it in deeper. If Verstappen's at your right rear wheel, then yeah, it's essentially your corner, and Verstappen has to back out. But you guys are side by side. I don't agree with then penalizing the driver on the outside for having to take evasive action and then telling them to give the spot back. This happened literally earlier in the race, George Russell and Lance Stroll, where Russell didn't give Stroll a lot of room. Stroll goes off the track, but the FIA, and to be fair, actually Russell gave Stroll more room than what Hamilton did in turn 1 to Verstappen, but the FIA didn't say anything. The FIA did not say, Stroll, you have to give the position back. So the inconsistency is getting a little bit annoying, because what is allowed? Are you allowed to shove other drivers off the track, or are you not? Because it really depends on how you race, and it's going to change how drivers race. And then we head into another problem, which is the FIA negotiating what the penalty is. So red flag comes out, and Red Bull are on pit road, and Red Bull are now being told by Michael Massey, the race director, that there's an offer that you can start third on the next restart, or we could take it to the stewards, and the stewards could give you a time penalty. But my point here is, why are we offering things? If you're the race director, just say it. Just say, okay, well, this is a red flag, right? So Max Verstappen, you have to start P3. Red Bull, take Verstappen, you will be P3, Hamilton will be P2, and Ocon will be P1. There's no reason where you should be able to say, all right, Red Bull, here's our offer. I would recommend you go to P3. If not, it goes to the stewards and you could get a time penalty. That doesn't seem like controlling or policing the race. It's just be like, okay, this is a red flag situation. The race director, Michael Massey, then says, okay, you must start P3. I think Michael Massey needs to take a little bit more control. Now, maybe these are just the protocols that I'm not aware of, where Michael Massey can offer these things to a team. And if the team doesn't accept, then it goes to the stewards, and the stewards give whatever time penalty or whatever they want after that. But it just seems like, Massey should be able to just say, like, at a red flag position, all right, you have to go. It's not do you want to go to P3? It's no, you have to give up that position and go to P3. Then we head into the final restart, essentially, where Verstappen dive bombs Hamilton and Esteban Ocon, and it's a brilliant move. Like I said, Hamilton didn't brake deep enough on the first restart. He didn't brake deep enough on this restart. Verstappen on the medium tires brakes later, heads up the inside, takes the lead. Then we head into virtual safety cars. So the virtual safety car then benefited Hamilton because the virtual safety car came out on the front straightaway, I think it was, and then they went through sector 1, which is the strength for Red Bull, but Red Bull could not use sector 1 to get Verstappen out of the DRS range. The virtual safety car ends in sector 2. Hamilton's already within a second, and that is what allows him to get up to Verstappen, which then causes the other turn 1 incident where Hamilton goes around the outside and Verstappen goes in late, and they kind of both go off the track, and Verstappen essentially gets recommended to give the place back. And this is where chaos then lets loose, where essentially now Verstappen's team is telling him, give the place back. Hamilton does not get that message. Verstappen tries to do it strategically in terms of where he wants to get DRS. Hamilton knows this. He wants to stay behind, and they run into each other. In the meantime, for us, for the neutral fan that just like watch the racing, the drama here is incredible, right? The drama is incredible. This title fight's going crazy. They're running into each other, and it gets a little bit hectic. But again, I kind of blame the FIA here. So that incident happens in turn 1, but the message to let to tell Verstappen to let Hamilton go doesn't happen for another, I think, until the end of that lap, or even if it was another lap. The FIA, as soon as that comes on, needs to tell Verstappen you have to give that place back. The message should be relayed to both teams. So Hamilton doesn't get the message. Verstappen gets the message, but Hamilton doesn't get the message. So Hamilton doesn't know that Verstappen's going to let him go, and so Verstappen just slows down. Now, Verstappen slows down, Hamilton starts slowing down, and then confusion just breaks loose, and then Hamilton, runs into the back of him because Verstappen wanted to do is Verstappen really wanted to let Hamilton go before the DRS zone, so Verstappen could get DRS in order to then overtake Hamilton, to hypothetically, or to essentially say, I let Hamilton go, but I was able to pass him back via DRS. Hamilton knew this. He didn't want to pass Verstappen heading into the final corner because he knew that Verstappen would get DRS, and then that's what caused the incident. But what I don't agree with this is I don't agree why Verstappen gets a 10-second penalty. So I don't understand this. At the time of slowing down, Verstappen, he's slowing down. It doesn't matter if he's doing it strategically. The rule is you have to give the position back. Okay, Verstappen slows down. He's on the right side of the road, and he slows down. And then Hamilton doesn't pass him. So Verstappen, while slowing down, you could tell he gradually downshifts, and he's looking in his mirror, and then in his mind, he's like, why is Hamilton still behind me? I'm trying to let him go. So then Verstappen brakes suddenly, and that's what causes the incident. I don't think you should penalize Verstappen for doing that, because in my opinion, you have a car slowing down, right? You have the car slowing down in front of you for Hamilton. There's a ton of room to the left, and he doesn't pass him. So what you're saying now, precedent-wise, is that no matter, like, when you have to give the position back, right? If you're the driver behind you and you don't want to go past in that specific part of the track, right? You don't want to go past him. Then you could just stay behind the guy. Or you could just run into the back of the guy and just, the guy in front gets a penalty. That doesn't make sense. Verstappen slows down for a solid 3 seconds before he really hits the brakes, and Hamilton just never moves to the left. I think this is all just one massive misunderstanding, massive miscommunication. drivers being incredibly smart and teams being incredibly smart to try to do everything they can to win. The gamesmanship of you have to slow down here so you can get DRS to overtake them and all this stuff. This stuff is all allowed. We all know it's allowed. But then to penalize Verstappen for trying to let someone go doesn't because no matter how you want to argue it, he slowed down. He slowed down to purposely let Hamilton go. That's what he's supposed to do. The rule is you have to give the position back, right? And Hamilton just ran into the back of him. So I don't agree with penalizing Verstappen. In the end, it didn't affect anything. Hamilton still had the faster car. Hamilton still would have gotten around him, even if none of this happened. The medium tires would have fallen off. Hamilton would have gotten around him. If none of this chaos happened, Hamilton still would have still gotten around Verstappen. He would have still won the race. But these games, I think that they're playing with each other now, along with the FIA kind of not being able to patrol it, is getting a little bit worrying. But in the overall picture, right? In the overall picture, I think this title fight is incredible. We're heading to the final race, where I will admit, I don't really want to see what we saw at Jeddah, because it's just a little bit too much. In my hope, I hope that Red Bull have a faster car down the straights, and I hope that it's more of an equal fight. I think it's been very clear in the last 3 races that Mercedes have the better car. It's very clear. Bottas and Hamilton. Bottas is obliterating Sergio Perez. Verstappen is fighting for his life to just try and stay in front of Lewis Hamilton. That Mercedes has a very fast car in a straight line. It's very clear they have the faster car. I just kind of want the cars to be a little bit more equal, so for a neutral standpoint, we could see a better fight. Because I think what's happening right now is Verstappen is pushing the living hell out of that car, and let's be honest, that car is just not able to compete with the combo of Lewis Hamilton and a faster Mercedes car. Because again, you're going up against the greatest of all time in Lewis Hamilton, and the fact that that car is also faster. So when those two things happen, I don't think Verstappen really stands a chance. So we're heading to Abu Dhabi, where the track, I'm going to put a picture up here of the reconfigured track. They essentially took out 2 of the slow areas, which would benefit Red Bull last season. But there still are a lot of slow corners, and it still is. There's still going to be 2 DRS zones. I think it's going to be, in my opinion, equal. I don't see Red Bull dominating, and I don't see Mercedes dominating, because there's enough slow corners, there's enough technical corners where the high rake Red Bull chassis will be better. But then there's a lot of straights for the engine power of Mercedes to be better. But remember, it's another race that Hamilton just completed on that new engine, and the degradation of that engine is going to be higher because they built that engine to last, not as long. So I do expect it to be a little bit more even, which most likely will mean that Verstappen and Hamilton are going to race against each other. And this is where I'm going to talk about, again, those racing standards. So when Hamilton got around Verstappen for the final time, Hamilton pushed Verstappen on the final corner completely off the track. Completely off. He went all the way to the white line, and Verstappen had to go completely off the track. And Michael Massey came on, and he said, that's borderline, the black and white flag, that's borderline. You cannot do that again. But you are letting them do that. That happened in Brazil. You didn't penalize Max Verstappen when Verstappen took both Lewis Hamilton and himself completely off the track. Then Hamilton does it at Jeddah. Completely takes Verstappen off the track. Again, no penalty. So the problem I'm having with the FIA is now they've set the precedent into the final race, where you can push someone off the track, because apparently it's allowed. Apparently you are able to just shove someone. You're able to take your car, go right to the white line and right to the curb, and tell that other driver you have to go to the other side of the curb. Apparently that's allowed, because it's happened twice now, and there's been no penalties. There's been no penalty for Verstappen at Brazil. There's been no penalty for Hamilton at Jeddah. So what is going on now? And what I'm scared about is that what we're going to see at Abu Dhabi is, as soon as these guys get side by side heading into a breaking point, they're not necessarily going to race each other like they should. They're just going to say, whoever's on the inside is essentially going to say, it's my corner, shove off the track. And then the other driver is going to have to avoid contact. He's going to have to cut the corner. And the FIA is going to have to get involved. And you don't want to put penalties in for the final race, because whoever finishes ahead wins the championship. And this is really the FIA's fault. This is where the FIA, I think, really have to take a hard look at the end of the season and essentially say, we got to police this a lot tighter. So essentially, when you guys are racing side by side, give each other room. Don't shove each other off the track, because what's been going on this season is that for the majority of the time, there have been a few instances in the middle, with the middle of the field, the mid-pack cars, where they're having penalties for shoving someone off the track. But 80% of the time, you get away with it. It's my corner. I could shove him off the track. He goes into the curb or the grass or something, and it's allowed, which in my opinion isn't right. But we're going to head into this final race in terms of what honestly, the greatest title fight I've seen in my time. I know 2012 had a lot of different drivers involved, and it came to the final race with Alonso and Vettel, and it was a fight amongst many teams. But in terms of a 1v1, like a Senna and a Prost, or a Rosberg and a Hamilton, and a Schumacher, Alonso, Schumacher and Hill, 1v1, this Verstappen and Hamilton fight is it's one of the best, if not the best. It's incredible, and I'm just really hoping that it doesn't end on a sour note. It doesn't end in controversy. It doesn't end with, Suzuka 1990, where, Senna and Prost took each other out. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but with the rules that the FIA have set, I honestly won't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets decided by a penalty, because remember, it's not about who finishes with the most points on the final race. They're tied. It's literally all about who finishes higher. And the only way that doesn't happen is if they both wreck each other out, and then they both don't get points. In that case, Verstappen would win the championship. But other than that, whoever finishes in the top 10 in the better position wins the championship. It really is a one race takes all. And throughout the course of the entire season, they did that in a natural way. Yeah, just chaos. And I just want to make this video, talk about all of it. Let me know what you guys think below. Do you agree with what I think, or do you have your own opinions? Like, is your opinion essentially, do you agree with the whole, essentially, if you're on the inside of a corner, it's your corner. It doesn't matter if they get, side by side on your outside. You're allowed to push them off. I just don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. If they're half a car length behind you, if their left front tire is at your right rear tire, or vice versa, then I think you are allowed to push them off, and they have to back out of it. But if you guys are legitimately side by side by the time the exit of the corner comes, I don't think this stuff should be allowed, that you're able to just push them off the track. No, not in my opinion. I don't agree with that at all. But it's going to end up to be one heck of a battle. I will try to make a race review of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix for Formula 1. Whoever wins the championship fully deserves it. Whether it's Verstappen, fully deserved. He's had one of the best seasons ever in Formula 1. Whether it's Hamilton's 8th, basically certifies him as the greatest of all time. No debate. Again, fully deserved. Has to win the last 4 races to literally win the championship. He's done 3. He needs to win 1 more. So it's going to be very intense. And then then you head into the next season with new regulations, and you have no idea what's going to happen. So incredible scenes. And let me know what you guys think of the title fight and everything going on. Who do you got? Do you got Verstappen, or do you got Hamilton? In my opinion, I think it's going to be very equal. And if the cars are equal, I might edge Verstappen, but I don't know. If that Merc is faster down the straight, I'm going Hamilton. It's really about what the Merc will have down the straight line. I don't think Red Bull can hold off Mercedes if the Mercedes power unit is as strong as it's been the last 3 races. If that power unit degrades and they end up being a little bit more equal, I think Verstappen with his talent has a chance, because I do believe Verstappen's been the better driver throughout the entire season. But at this very moment, just like it was early in the season, Red Bull had the faster car. Late in the season, Mercedes had the faster car. It's tough. If Mercedes had the fastest car, I don't think that, combined with Lewis Hamilton and his greatness, I don't see how you beat Lewis Hamilton. So it'll see. Qualifying and the free practice sessions are going to be very important. I think Verstappen has to get on pole. I think the only chance he has to get on pole. If Verstappen doesn't qualify on pole, I don't see that Red Bull overtaking Mercedes. Not in any way. They don't have the straight line speed to do it. So the Red Bull has to qualify on pole, and they have to hold off Hamilton and his straight line speed. That's going to be the fight. And if I was a betting man, I'd probably lean towards Mercedes, but if the cars are equal by the time qualifying ends and Verstappen's on pole, I'm going with Verstappen. So I'm not really picking a true bet. I can't. It's too close, which is exactly what I want. It's going to be a fantastic battle. And yeah, I'll see you guys then. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll be back on NASCAR 21 Ignition. But man, this Formula season has been incredible. I cannot wait. I haven't been this excited for like motorsports in a long time. Like, NASCAR doesn't really get me excited like this anymore. Like, I was shaking at the start of that Jeddah Grand Prix because I was like so hyped up and like wondering what was going to happen. Crazy racing. It's gonna be the same thing in Abu Dhabi. I'll see you guys later. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out.